Then we walked up the Park Road, up the street, and I remember we got to the steps of the park. I turned around and left. I was absolutely convinced that Damien walked up through the town, through the park. Mm-hmm. In fact, I know he did. I remember seeing him sort of going up the stairs, walking up there, and I turned around.
That was Chris Boone describing the moment he and best friend Damien Nettles parted ways after having been out on the town on a cold and rainy winter's night in November 1996. Little did he know that it would be the last time he would ever see his best friend. Less than 2 hours later, Damien would seemingly vanish into thin air. All signs point to a notorious local drug dealer and a punishment for unpaid debt, gone horribly wrong. But is this the whole story? Controversial police handling of the case involving lost evidence and a tight-lipped community produce few leads in what has become one of the United Kingdom's most baffling mysteries that remains unsolved nearly 30 years later. Our story today takes place in Cowes on the Isle of Wight, a small island located off the southern coast of England. It is known for its natural beauty, with stunning coastline, rolling hills and picturesque countryside. The island has a rich history, with evidence of human settlement dating back thousands of years. Visitors can explore the island's many historic landmarks, including castles, churches and museums. The island is also known for its vibrant arts and culture scene, with a variety of festivals and events taking place throughout the year. Cowes was also home to the Nettles family. Valerie Nettles was born in the UK and grew up on the Isle of Wight before her family immigrated to the US when she was 15. She married her American husband, Ed, a manager with an international freight company, after meeting him at the University of New Orleans. They would go on to have 4 children, including Damien, and lived between the UK and the US, following Ed's work. But eventually they settled on the Isle of Wight in 1990. Damien Richard Nettles was born at 1:27 a.m. on the 21st of June 1980 at Gleneagles Hospital in Singapore, weighing 7 pounds 10 ounces. He had an idyllic childhood surrounded by the love of his family and friends on the Isle of Wight. Described as a talented musician with a flair for writing, he was in a band with friends and was well liked among his peer group. He loved the rock band Nirvana and was often seen wearing his Doc Marten boots. Damien had excelled in his exams, which gave him enthusiasm to fulfill his ambition of becoming a marine biologist. We must journey back to Saturday, the 2nd of November, 1996. It was a cold and wet, wintry night on the island, and 16-year-old Damien Nettles had just been dropped off at his best friend's house by his father, Edward Nettles. Damien is wearing blue jeans and a black fleece. The time is around 7:30 that evening. Damien, with best friend Chris Boone and Chris's brother Davey, headed to a house party in East Cowes shortly after. The party was small, made up of 3 couples and Damien. Perhaps feeling like the odd one out, Damien made it known that he wanted to leave, and at around 9:30, he and Chris left the party. They headed to the island's floating bridge ferry service that crosses the River Medina, stopping to buy cider on the way. Boarding the ferry in East Cowes at around 9:45 p.m, they disembarked in West Cowes just a couple of minutes later. As they head into the town centre, multiple reports state that Damien was carrying a small black camera. This camera has never been found. Once in West Cowes, Damien explained to Chris that he wanted to find his older sister Sarah, who he believed was in one of the pubs. This is an interesting point, as Damien's mother, Valerie, would later state that Damien was fully aware that Sarah was not on the island that night, and in fact was away in Portsmouth on the mainland. Why did Damien tell Chris otherwise? Did he forget? Some speculate that it was a ruse to get into bars. If it was, I don't see why Damien would have kept that from his best friend. The underage boys start going from pub to pub looking for her, however. Chris, who doesn't look as old as Damien, is often refused entry and left outside as Damien goes in. At 10 p.m, Damien is picked up on the CCTV of Yorkie's chip shop, where he looks drunk according to witness statements. He only stays for a minute or two before leaving without purchasing anything. It is unclear where Chris is and why Damien is alone in the chip shop. After a while of going round the town's bars in the cold, dark and rain, Chris states that he has had enough, and the boys agree to head home, parting ways at the entrance to Northwood Park at around 10:30 p.m. Despite Chris seeing Damien head across the park, the next sighting of Damien would come only 15 minutes later on Cowes High Street, where a witness who knows Damien saw him alone, eating chips at 10:45 p.m. They head to the Fountain pub together, but Damien is turned away. At 11 p.m, another witness who knows Damien sees him while on her way to the Harbour Lights pub at the north end of the High Street. 10 minutes later, another witness comes into contact with Damien at the same pub when Damien asks him for a cigarette. That same witness then states that Damien tried to get into a blue Ford Fiesta outside the pub. This ties in with other witness statements stating Damien was trying door handles to random cars. Moments later, at around 11:20 p.m, staff at the Three Crowns pub see Damien try to enter by the side door, where Damien stated he was looking for his sister. At 11:34 p.m, Damien is once again picked up on the CCTV of Yorkie's chip shop. He enters alone from the south side of the High Street, and once inside, he exchanges small talk with a couple of the other patrons. Whether he knew them before this encounter is unclear. Indeed, many details regarding this encounter are unclear, in part due to the police investigation or lack thereof. As reports state, some of these key witnesses were not questioned until months after the incident, while others were not contacted at all. There was speculation that these were military men, but this is unconfirmed. The audio is extremely muffled due to the loud music playing in the shop, with only small portions intelligible. He appears intoxicated or otherwise impaired during his exchange with the shop worker, simply asking for one please. Moments after leaving the chip shop at 11:39 p.m, witnesses see Damien outside Lloyd's Bank on Cowes High Street. At 11:45 p.m, a member of staff at the Harbour Lights says Damien came in while they were closing and asked staff for cigarettes. Another member of staff remembers seeing him outside the pub talking to someone in a Ford Fiesta. The manager at Yorkie's chip shop sees him walk past and wave as he heads south on the high street at 11:52 p.m. Right around that time, a bus driver says Damien got onto his bus and asked to go to Cowes. Damien then produces a camera and tries to take a picture but fails. He thanks the bus driver and gets off the bus. 11:59 p.m. A witness at the co-op has a brief conversation with Damien, who asks him for a cigarette. Another witness in a car sees Damien, who appears drunk, approach his car and say, "They are watching us," before walking off and heading towards the high street. At 5 minutes past midnight, Damien is spotted briefly on CCTV on Cowes High Street, walking alone and eating chips. He then simply disappears into the night, never to be seen again. What happened to Damien Nettles is a question that has puzzled many for 27 years. Did he run away? Did he accidentally fall into the sea as he walked home along the seafront? Over the years, there have been dozens of rumours and theories about Damien's disappearance, to the point where separating fact from fiction has become incredibly difficult. The police investigation was slow off the mark, as they did not take the case seriously to begin with, chalking it up as another teenage runaway. It didn't help that they mistakenly recorded Damien's age as 19, which was just the beginning of the mishaps by the police in this case. In addition, tips and leads from the public were rare, and the few that did come forward wanted to remain anonymous and/or refused to sign a sworn statement. Numerous people witnessed Damien on Cowes High Street on the night of his disappearance, with many alleging that he looked drunk and possibly confused. Both Chris Boone and a previous girlfriend of Damien's, Abby Scott, stated that Damien was familiar with the local drug scene, including where to score drugs if needed. At just after midnight, wandering Cowes High Street alone, did Damien try to score some drugs? For years following Damien's disappearance, rumours flew around, but the ones that circled the most were nearly always centred around the town's drug fraternity, and one name in particular, Nicky McNamara. Nicky was well known in the small town as the local drug dealer, and stories began to surface that Damien had an altercation with Nicky the night he went missing, over money that Damien owed Nicky for an eighth of weed. Following the police investigation, several arrests were made in 2011 and searches performed on suspect properties. However, all of them would later be released without charge. While the searches did not turn up anything, the subsequent media coverage did bring the case back into the spotlight and spark some lost memories, causing people to come forward. A witness later claimed he saw a tall, skinny teen matching Damien's description being pinned against a wall by Nicky, who had a history of violent crimes and was also reportedly seen acting suspiciously the next day.
I saw Nicky Mac. Nick had a young, thin, skinny nipper up against the wall on the bend of Bars Hill. It was well lit, about midnight-ish. Wasn't friendly. No, I knew that straight away, it wasn't friendly. He had him by the scruff of the neck and he was holding him up against the wall. Danny Spencer was stood well back.
And tell me, do you remember only two men being there?
There was only two, Danny Spencer and Matt McNamara.
Danny Spencer was an affiliate of Nicky McNamara and a member of the local drug fraternity. He was on Cowes High Street with Nicky the night Damien went missing and allegedly was caught up in a confrontation between Nicky and Damien on Bars Hill. He was one of the arrests made in 2011 that was released due to lack of evidence. Reports state that while in police custody, he was able to get his hands on police testimonies, including one from the anonymous source you just heard. Incidentally or not, the source would later go on to retract their statement, saying they couldn't be sure it was Danny Spencer they saw with Nicky on Bars Hill that night. We continue with the witness testimony, as he goes on to say he confronted Nicky about the incident on Bars Hill when bumping into him a couple of months later.
And he got really paranoid. He couldn't look me in the eyes. He was going, no, what were you on about? Like, you know, and he's from 1 second being relaxed and talking or whatever to his whole demeanour had changed to being paranoid and couldn't look me in the eyes.
Is Nicky McNamara responsible for Damien's disappearance, or is this just circumstantial? No answers would come from Nicky himself, as he would pass away from a heroin overdose in 2002. What about the others involved with Nicky at the time? Could they provide the answer? The case would go cold again, and in 2012 the Nettles family hired a private investigator, Ivor Edwards. During his private investigation, he was approached by a source who wanted to remain anonymous, but was willing to give his account of what he saw the night Damien disappeared.
I was coming up to the junction of Sun Hill in Cowes High Street. A group of males and one female came rolling out of Sun Hill as though it was like a posse entering a cowboy town. Nicky McNamara was doing windmills, spinning around, and I said, "You all right, Nicky? You seem to be off your face on something." And he came out with some technical, chemical name of whatever he was on. Shirley Barrett walked in between the people that I was with. I remember this so distinctively because Shirley Barrett is a tall person for a female, but she had high heels on that night and she was even taller. As Nicky left me and he walked away, I witnessed Bunny Isles was also there in the street. Anyway, they all went off down the high street towards the fountain.
Bunny Isles was one of the biggest drug dealers on the island and was also Nicky's right-hand man. The pair used to work and live together. Their property on Fellows Road, Cowes, was known for being the local drug den. Shirley Barrett has a history of antisocial behaviour and used to reside in a place on Prospect Road called the House of Death because of the numerous deaths at the property, supposedly due to drug overdoses, one of which was that of Nicky McNamara in 2002. Nicky was also rumoured to have been in a relationship with Shirley Barrett at some point. There are rumours that McNamara made a confession to Barrett about his involvement in Damien's death on his deathbed. Barrett denies this, however. The anonymous source continues his testimony into the next day.
I see Nicky McNamara, and he's chucking wood into this oil drum, big 45-gallon drum. Right. Fucking great blaze. This is about 2:30 in the afternoon. He's chucking this wood in, right? I see Nicky go back in, come out with another bit of wood, and he was scraping something along the ground. And as he picked it up and he scooped it up off the ground, he then flicked it into the fire. It was the shape of a sleeve.
A detailed eyewitness testimony, but how much merit should it get? Unfortunately, there are red flags surrounding this witness, as it took them 16 years to come forward with their story, which then conveniently puts them at all the key places at just the right time. Lynn Hammond, a local councillor on the island, has stated that an individual within the local drug scene confessed their involvement, explaining how they helped to bury Damien's body.
And all of a sudden this boy started sobbing, or man now, started sobbing, and when he was asked what was the matter, he said that he'd been involved helping to bury Damien.
Lynn goes on to give an account of what happened on the night Damien disappeared.
Damien was never meant to be killed. He was meant to be taught a lesson, and it went wrong. Apparently, Damien's head went back against the wall, and Damien then slumped to the floor, and he just choked on his own vomit. Now, whether he was dead when they wrapped him in a rug and black plastic bags, or whether he was just unconscious, I don't know.
Supposedly, Damien was killed by a punch thrown in anger, accidentally killing him after his head hit a wall. His body then kept at the property in Fellows Road, belonging to Nicky and Bunny Isles, for up to 3 weeks, before finally being buried in a small woodland just on the edge of Cowes. Based on these testimonies, efforts were made by friends and family to find Damien's body by bringing in cadaver dogs and digging up potential grave sites. Despite searching the woods over and over, Damien's body has never been found. The search for Damien continues to this day.
Obviously, you know, we still miss him desperately, and I just want justice for Damien. You know, I mean, this is, yeah, I can't really move on, and I can't stop thinking about him, and I can't stop wondering what happened to him. And really, if Damien was murdered, we want justice for Damien, and I really just want to know where he is. I just want to know where my child is. That's the most important thing, is just to know where he is.
For more than 2 decades, the disappearance of Damien has left his family, friends, and the community of the Isle of Wight searching for answers. Valerie Nettles, Damien's mother, chronicled her tireless search for her son in her book, The Boy Who Disappeared. This powerful account not only provides a deeper insight into the case, but also highlights the emotional toll it takes on those left behind. The Nettles family's relentless pursuit of the truth is an inspiration. Their unwavering determination serves as a poignant reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope and resilience can prevail. Despite numerous setbacks and the passage of time, the quest for answers continues. Every tip, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, could potentially bring closure to Damien's loved ones. If you have any information, please contact the appropriate authorities or the Nettles family through their website, damiennettles.uk. Let's honor Damien's memory by remembering that his disappearance is not just an unsolved case. It is a human story. It is a story of love, loss, and the unwavering hope that one day the truth will be revealed. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope that by sharing Damien's story, we can contribute to the ongoing fight for justice and closure for his family.
Not missing, but still to be found. There is a hole in everyone. All police say you're a runaway. Say you'll be back again, and if you